Good morning, New Thought Spiritual Center, and to everyone in the virtual world. It is my joy to be with you once again. I know that I'm unmuted, right? So good morning once again to all of you. And as you know, I like to begin with an affirmation of something that you can walk away with, something that will remind you of the talk. And my talk is entitled The Power and the Value of Thought. And I begin with this affirmation: the clear, unclouded mind of Christ dominates my thinking. The clear, unclouded mind of Christ dominates my thinking. So what is thinking? Thinking is the movement of ideas in mind, and when we bring that movement to a conclusion, we call it thought. Thinking is the inlet and the outlet of all ideas, and in our use of this faculty of thinking, we become a free agent because it is our creative center. And it is through this faculty that we build a consciousness of who we are. All pure, wholesome ideas come to us from the mind of God, the infinite thinker, and are pressed forth through the mind of man for expression in our lives and in our world. In the book, Keep a True Lent, Charles Fillmore tells us that God idealized two universal planes of consciousness, the heaven and the earth, or more properly, the heavens and the earth. One is the realm of pure ideals, the other of thought forms. God does not create the visible universe directly, as man makes cement pavement, but he creates the ideas that are used by his intelligent image likeness to make the universe. Thus, God's creations are always spiritual. Man's creations are both material and spiritual according to his understanding. Philosophers have pondered this faculty of thinking throughout the ages, and the celebrated 17th century philosopher, metaphysician, and mathematician René Descartes, in trying to find proof of his existence, came to the conclusion that he could stand on the solid foundation of the thought that I think, therefore I am. If you see this as meaning that I differ from everything else in the universe because only God and his image likeness have this ability, I can accept that. If you understand it to mean that I am what I think, for indeed is, if we say health is what we want, or what we want to embody, for instance, then directing our thoughts and our energies and attention to health brings it forth into existence as a healthy body, in accordance with the law of mind action, which we all know, for thoughts held in mind produce in the outer world according to their kind. I accept that. Further, Jesus said, whatever you believe, that you receive. If you interpret this saying, however, to mean that because I think, therefore I am, then I disagree. Rather, I think it's the other way around. It is because I am, therefore I think. Omnipresence is the infinite thinker who thought the universe into being, providing the original archetypal ideas, and enfolded in each is the perfect pattern of expression, including the image likeness that we know as the Christ, the I am, the thinker, that is individualized in each of us. That mind in us that has been entrusted with shaping and forming our world. In this understanding, we can confidently declare, I am the thinker that thinks the thought that makes the thing. This, my friends, is our great privilege. This is our great gift. And by our thoughts, we build our world up and we tear it down. And this is our great path. When we take a careful look at the way a thing becomes formed, we see that an idea first pops into our mind, we accept that idea, we give it our attention, and when it is just the way we want it, well, sometimes we draw other ideas to it, we play with it, and we add to it or we subtract from it. And when it is just the way we want it, we concentrate on it and then release it to the subconscious mind. Then, through an invisible process, the idea is clothed in the universal substance, and bingo, it comes forth into visibility as a form. I hope you can agree with me. About this time, I should see your heads nodding, in assent or dissent. Wish we were back in church. Come May, it will happen. But let me give you an example. The famous Michael Jordan of basketball fame said years ago that he became a success because he visualized where he wanted to be, what kind of player he wanted to become. He knew exactly where he wanted to go, and he focused on getting there. He said that when he goes to the free throw line, he doesn't think of the 10 million people out there watching it, watching him on the other side of the cameras. For he says that would generate in him a fear of failure. And he would rather not make that his experience. So instead, he mentally executes the successful free throws he made during practice and just go through the same motion and the same technique. And what Michael Jordan is saying to us, or what he said at the time, is that he made a choice. He chooses how to think, and his choice is to think positively and constructively. Friends, awareness and choice are two activities of the mind that are going on all the time. Thinking is the working power of the mind that allows us to come into an awareness of the Spirit of God and to identify with it. It allows us to connect with the fountainhead of eternal good, where the archetypal ideas and the perfect patterns for everything resides. It allows us to draw upon the elemental life and intelligence that has been placed at our disposal to bring into manifestation the highest and the best for our lives. We cannot live happily in true abundance, in wholeness, or in peace without making this connection. Friends, the greater our awareness of the Spirit of God within us is, the more happily and abundantly we live. The more we rely upon His direction and guidance is the more we lay hold of ideas that will enrich every area of our lives. The challenge we have is not that we are not aware of the power of thinking to change our lives dramatically. Our challenge is that we look to the world around us for original ideas. We look to the five senses way before they are spiritualized. What we receive through the senses is not always correct. And the prophet Isaiah says it this way. He says, "Put not your trust in man whose breath is in his body." In other words, he's a mere mortal. We need to put our trust in God and look to Him for the answers that we need. Go to Him for the pure ideas. Go to Him for the perfect pattern, say, of a whole body that was in the beginning, is now, and forever will be. Go to Him for what your soul needs are. And remember, how you use His ideas is unique to you. You know, one of my spiritual teachers early in truth, Ida Bowles, used to say, "Go to God first, Mavis, and then to man as God directs." Couldn't get it better, could you? Let me share the story of Mary Groder Lewis, who did not look to the naysayers or the labelers that would block the unfoldment of the unique individual she would become. As a child, Mary was said to be retarded. In adolescence, she was labeled incorrigible and sent to reform school. But the challenge Mary had was dyslexia, undiagnosed for 16 years. Thankfully, though, she did earn a high school diploma. And on leaving school, Mary became pregnant, and 2 years later, a second pregnancy resulted in a stroke that erased her writing and reading skills. In the face of this challenging situation, Mary did not indulge in defeatist thinking, nor allow what was happening to her to define her. Rather, she looked to what was within her for strength and for courage, and she worked to regain her skills, to ease her financial position. Mary took 7 foster children into her home and still found time to take college courses. At the end of her coursework, she applied to 16 medical schools and was finally accepted to Albany Medical School in New York, where she earned the Doctor of Medicine degree in 1984. We do not know just what private thoughts crossed her mind as she stepped onto that stage at graduation to grasp that testament to her self-belief and perseverance. For looking back at her history, her success seems almost impossible. But Mary confirms for all of us that we can connect with the kingdom of ideas, that kingdom of our ever expanding good, when we use the power of thought. Mary tells us that no one, not even spiritual thinkers, are free of adversity, but we can flip the script when we do not allow limited negative thinking to drive our thoughts and actions. We can change our circumstances when we connect with the highest and best within ourselves and see it outpictured in our lives. The book of Proverbs in the Bible, chapter 23, verse 7 says that as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And by deduction, we can say, so is his body, so is his pocketbook, so is his relationship. Let's be clear, the thought is the thing. James Allen, who is the author of the little book called As a Man Thinketh, says, the outer world of circumstance shapes itself to the inner world of thought, and both pleasant and unpleasant external conditions are factors which make for the ultimate good of the individual. He says, men do not attract that which they want, but that which they are. Do we have that? Men do not attract that which they want, but that which they are. And who are we, friends? Consciousness. Consciousness. Even Shakespeare's Hamlet knew that when he said to his friend Horatio, the divinity that shapes our ends is in ourselves. So let us not continue to look outside of ourselves. Do not look for the ideal outside of ourselves. Let us keep looking to that which is whole, perfect, and complete, the Christ of God that is right within us. And know, my friends, that spiritual power, mastery, and dominion comes to those who renew their mind, renew their body, and renew their affairs by changing their thoughts. God bless you. Amen and amen.